Hey, hello, and welcome to the Brain Dump on Sunday Safety Live, or Safety Sunday Live. And we've been away for a while, but we're back. And welcome along. And we will have some, or possibly have some people want to join. And if they do, obviously just let us know on Skype. I will send you the link. Tonight's safety topic is target fixation. We'll have a nice relaxed start, let people get in, settle down, sit down, grab some popcorn, and then we'll get into the meaty stuff. So a bit of a relaxed beginning. So if you've got any questions or anything like that, then obviously please do put those in the Q&A on Google+. So there we go. I'm just waiting for some notifications to come through, and it will all be good. Okay, excellent. Right, so hello. Now, whilst we wait for people to gather and start asking any questions, just wanted to basically give you a brief chat about target fixation. Now, some people say it's the most common cause of an accident whilst the rider only the rider is involved, and target fixation is all about looking at objects that may be left or right out of your view, anything from a lamppost to a lovely looking female, or if you're of another persuasion, a lovely looking male, whatever it may be, anything that may be a distraction, a building, another car, a truck, whatever. Who am I? UK number one is there, and he says, good evening. Hi Dave, there is a link on Skype, mate, if you wish to join. You are more than welcome to. So anything really that's going to distract or get your gaze away from the road, the direction where you want to go, is what target fixation is. And if you Google target fixation, you go on YouTube and look for target fixation, you'll see many results of people ending up in that target fixation. And the ones that are the most popular on YouTube are the ones where they don't correct the target fixation. Oh, hello, Richard has arrived. Hello, Richard.
Hello.
Hello. Good to have you along, sir.
You're all by yourself.
I am, yes. I've been talking to myself. Well, I haven't actually. I've been talking to the viewers. But, yeah, I was just briefly just giving a kind of little overview of target fixation. You know, the old not looking where you're going, basically, and being distracted by other things. And that's kind of a really basic summary of it. I'll just quickly go to Jason Carter, who also says, evening all. Hi, Jason. Nice to have you along.
Hello.
If anyone gets any questions, of course, please put them in Q&A. We'll be happy to answer them. And I've just done a very relaxed, gentle introduction. And also now we have Dave, who am I, UK1, join us. Hi, Dave.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Oh, look, and Bex has popped up in the Q&A as well. Let's quickly go and say hello to Bex. She says, hello, Mr. B and Richard, and probably will correct herself very shortly. And Dave. Hi, Bex. How you doing? And also, Wyvern Biker. Keith, he says, evening, chaps. Hello, buddy. Alrighty then, so target fixation. Now, whenever I do this stuff, I don't like to talk for too long because then it makes me sound like some sort of know-it-all and everything else. So I'm quite happy to pass over to whoever wants to go first in terms of their experiences and thoughts about target fixation and what it is, because I could be wrong, of course.
The way I understand it usually is, for argument, if you're going into a corner and you start to drift a little bit wide, so your head looks at where you're going and you start to think, oh no, I'm heading towards this tree, boulder, rock, whatever it is, and because you're looking at it, that's where you go. And as far as I'm aware, that's, to put it in the smallest nutshell, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that.
Yeah, to me, there's two things, isn't there? One is I'm riding down the road and I have incredible accuracy that you can have with target fixation. So you see a pothole, and if you look at it, you invariably go through it, or you get to the very end and you think, hang on, and you actually kind of really have to steer your way around it, which is just kind of natural reaction to risk. And I suppose I said there's two things. The other one is just a more extreme version of, which is the one Dave's saying about, and it's that thing where rather than seeing something and then watching it, you get the panic reaction, which is a completely human reaction of, I'm not going to make this bend, or there's a baby in the middle of the road or something. Sorry about how my mind works, viewers. It's the panic reaction, and you get the instant target fixation. So let's say you're going around a bend and you think, I've gone into this too quick. It can be very easy for you to look where you're heading, which is a natural response. I'm going to crash, something's going to happen, and you look where you think you're going to crash. And then unfortunately that means that you do crash. Whereas you can kind of make it work for you that I'm going around this corner too quick. Rather than doing that, if you train yourself into it, instead of going, oh heck, I'm going to crash there, you actually look the other way and make a concerted effort to really look through the bend. And then you find you actually come out the other side of the bend not quite understanding how you managed it, but being very pleased that you did.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Yeah. And yeah, both of those define target fixation very well. And I can't really add too much to that, really. I did like Richard's. You get more accurate ones where you can find the smallest pothole. But if you look at it, your target fixation is very accurate. I like that. If there's a lamppost, and you look at that lamppost, out of all of the things that you could possibly hit, you will hit the lamppost or get very close to it due to target fixation.
There is a very good YouTube video that I'll have to find for you later if you haven't already seen it, of a guy in America doing a corner, and it's a kind of bend you could easily do at 3-figure speeds, but he's putting round on his Harley at about 50 miles an hour, and it's weird. It's the right hand side of the road is just open fields, and there's one lamppost or one signpost, and he just fixates on it, and it's terrifying to watch, but you watch it all the way until he hits it with his face. Luckily, he gets away with it. I mean, he's a bit cut because he had an open-faced helmet on. It's a good advert for full-face helmets. But he got away with it, and he was fine afterwards. But it's uncanny to watch this thing going closer and closer and closer until finally it just clocks him one, and off he goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen that one though, so I have got a video. Yeah, I've got a little video lined up for a little bit later, and it's something that, without to give too much away, but there's a little, I'll call it a game, something that you can do if you've got a helmet camera to see how you get on with target fixation. But we'll go into that a bit later. The other thing that I would add to the target fixation, obviously we talked about, and Dave and Richard has mentioned the going where you look. The other thing that can happen as well is that natural reaction, the human reaction, to tense up. So when the unexpected happens, quite often people go into a corner, as they say, too hot, too fast, or they think they're going too fast for their ability, and they think, oh, I'm not going to make this corner, and they instantly, and then we get back onto looking where you're going to crash, and you're looking to see what objects am I going to hit if I crash now. Oh, that lamppost will do, rather than actually try and switch away from that. So one of the things that I wanted to cover tonight is any techniques that anyone might have, anyone watching, any techniques to try and snap themselves out of the target fixation. Of course, before that, you need to understand whether or not you've got target fixation, and these thought processes happen really quickly. We're going to discuss it slowly, but at the moment that you think, hang on a minute, I'm looking at that pothole rather than looking where I'm going, or the lamppost, or the sign, or whatever it is, or that woman, who's got not many clothes on, maybe it's a hot day, and you think, hello. You really don't want to crash into them because that would make a terrible first date. But the thing is, it's identifying in your head quickly that, oh, I've got a target fixation, I need to fix that. And that's one of the things I wanted to pick up in this as well. But in terms of the initial target fixation, it's identifying the fact that you're going to a certain object, you're looking not where you want to go, obviously, and the other thing is that you tense up. And I think another thing that sometimes happens for people is that they then panic brake briefly. Because they tense up, they might grab the front, but then they're scared to grab the front if they're fairly experienced, because they know the front brake is instant off, because quite often this is on a corner this happens. Or they go for the rear gear and then kick the rear wheel out, and it all happens very quickly. As soon as you do that panic brake, you then kind of feel like you've lost control as well, and everything seems to be going against you, and you're just going to go where you're looking, and that's the place where this object that you found is probably the worst one you want to hit. You two as well, anything on tensing up and stuff like that? Is that something you're aware of or know of?
Well, one of the things that you have to remember is don't think it will happen to somebody else. Always think it will happen to you at some point. Don't try to say to yourself, I'm better than this, because it happens to us all. With me personally, I don't push my bike to the limits. So I know when I'm doing something like coming into a corner, the thing that I say to myself to get me out of it, and it's really amazing how quickly your brain works at this. Everything happens in a split second, but I managed to say to myself, you can always lean more than you think. And that tends to snap me out of it, and I move my head, even though it's difficult for me, and I get to move the bike out of the way, and that works for me.
Yeah. Richard, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few things, isn't there? You've got the target fixation. You've got the fact that you'll tense up, which makes it much harder to steer or do anything. But there's other things as well that you probably get is that when you tense up, when you're looking at one thing, you'll tend to steer towards it. You'll tend to, you might hit for the brakes, you might roll off the throttle, all of which can actually make things worse, because generally if it's in a corner, you're not thinking that you're turning in too much. You're thinking that you're not turning in enough, and you're already headed for the outside of the corner, and rolling off can actually stand the bike up and make it worse. So how do you get around it? Well, for me, I think it's all about where you're looking and your position on the bike. So if it is fast corners, position on the bike is kind of, you get some people who tip the bike into a corner and they stay upright, which is a very strange thing to see. You get the kind of standard, what we would say on the IAM, which is that you're perfectly in line with the bike, which is great for normal riding. If you're going a little bit quick, you want to be leaning in. You want to be maybe getting half your backside off the seat, maybe getting your head across near the mirror, and all of these things. Strangely enough, I find that if I'm in that mode of riding a little bit quicker and having fun, get my backside off the seat, getting my head right across to the mirror, so you're naturally leaning on the inside bar anyway, which is helping you steering, and really looking. So it's hard to say on the camera, isn't it? But if normal is there, there, for steering round a right-hander, it's kind of like this. So you're right over, it says coming across, right over, and looking that way, right through the corner. All your target fixation goes away. And you get a better view through the corner so you can see what's coming. And that's the bit, I suppose, about letting target fixation work for you, because you're looking right through the corner at the road that you're heading into. And actually, your bike, again, follows your body, except this time, hopefully, not towards a crash. But as Dave says, I've only been riding a couple of years, but I can't imagine that I'll ever get to a point where I don't occasionally have that instant of target fixation. It's taken me took me a year to get away from going oh, and then having to really think my way out of it into recognizing very quickly that I've got target fixation and then doing something about it. So I guess you get better, but I would imagine, I mean, you see them on the MotoGP sometimes where they'll have a bike suddenly buzz around them and off they go, and they're just straight off the circuit without actually hitting anybody. So I think it can happen to the best.
Yeah.
It does depend on how hard you're riding as well, because if you're hooning it and you're really getting down low in the corners and stuff like that, then it's much harder to recognise you're doing it because it's coming at you quicker. Whereas if you're generally riding the streets, going to work or whatever, which most of us tend to do, rather than on a weekend when you're playing, it's much easier to recognise that you are coming into this target fixation zone, and you can work through the problem easier that way. So if you can get your skills worked out doing it that way first, when you start to speed up, the reactions come quicker of how to work it out.
I definitely wouldn't recommend people trying to go fast before they've got used to going slow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a strange thing as well, though, that once you have got past, or for me anyway, personally, once I got past that bit, if I'm riding quicker, I don't have the same sort of problems as if I'm riding slow. I can actually be coming out of a junction very, very slowly, bolt upright, and just kind of dragging the brake type of slowly, and I'm more likely to realise that I'm about to fixate on something than if it's a left-right check and then whip out quick. Not sure what causes that mentally, but it's definitely something I've noticed.
It's because you have more time to think when you're slow. So your brain is working, is processing more information that's coming in. When you're doing a left-right flick, quick to say, all you're doing is you're looking for something moving, and if you don't see it, you've gone. Whereas if you're doing it slowly, your gaze is longer at your left and your right. So therefore, you're looking longer to see if there's anything moving and whether it's moving quickly or moving slowly. Whereas if you're going quickly, you tend to be out of the way of any oncoming traffic really quickly anyway. I mean, one of the things that I quite often do, when I'm coming up to an island, I know that if I am travelling at the speed limit and I see a gap between two cars that I can fit through without having to have anybody brake or take avoiding action, I'll take it. But I also know if I have to slow down to a stop, then that reaction, that amount of space that I need to pull away has to increase.
I just wanted to add as well around the target fixation thing. As you know, I've been riding many years, but I can tell you that it never ever goes away. I don't know how often I get target fixation. Let's say at least twice a month, and I ride a lot. You still get it, but obviously I recognise it straight away because that's the whole point of doing this safety hangout tonight, is to let people realise what it is and then do something about it, and we'll get to the doing something about it shortly. But I still get it, and I've been riding many years, and the faster you go, the less time you get to react and correct it. So, if you're riding slow and you think, oh, look at this, oh, what am I doing? Target fixation, silly person. That's fine at 30 miles an hour. If you're hooning it, you're maybe doing triple figures round a corner on a track, you really don't give yourself much time at all to correct that. And if you are at the edge of your limits going around that corner, one bit of target fixation, there's only one result, and that's you coming off. As simple as that, because you haven't got time to correct it. So, but when you're riding fast and you're riding to your ability, then target fixation shouldn't come into the equation, because you are, or should be, fully focused on the track and nothing else at all. But there we go. So I just want to say, first of all, it happens to me still, okay, and it'll happen to anyone. And if anyone says they've never got target fixated, I will be quite surprised. So there we go.
Somebody who doesn't ride, clearly.
Yeah.
A polisher.
Oh,
Yeah,
you also, to put a quick point out as well, if you're a new rider, you shouldn't be looking 50 feet or 100 feet in front of you. You should be looking way down the road. It gives you a lot more time to react to something that's coming up. In fact, if you're looking just in front of you, you're more likely to hit it anyway.
Yeah, well, as you get more experience, you'll learn that you need to scan, as Richard said before, and it's something that we do as experienced riders. And experience is about the length of time you've been riding, not how long you've ridden, if that makes sense. Pilots are measured in ability by the amount of hours they've flown, and I think the same applies to motorbikes. The longer you've been on a bike in hours, the more experience you'll have, obviously. But yeah, scanning up and down the road, making sure that you know where the road's going to go next, and then once you've acquired that information, then you worry about things that are closer and further away, and other cars and pedestrians, and the thousands of things that you process. The more aware you are. I once thought about doing a video and sort of like highlighting the things that goes on in my head, and I thought, you know what, it'd probably take me about a year to edit 5 seconds worth of footage. So it's just like it's just not worth it. It's so much going on.
Remember, I actually did one of those videos, and I had to split it into 2 parts. I had to do the first part, as in what I see, and the second part when I look in the mirrors, because there wasn't enough time for me to verbalise what I see and when I look in the mirrors.
Yeah, you could never speak that fast, and if you could, it would probably sound like a fly.
I did one of those myself, actually. I did one, and it was Tosh, before I'd ever actually met Tosh, who responded and said, why did you cut it? I would have loved to have seen the whole ride, because it was when I was practicing my IM stuff before the test. And he said, I'd have loved to have seen the entire ride. So I did him a video that was about 45 minutes long, I think, of the whole thing. And you could only talk about a quarter of the stuff you were reacting to. You know, it was, and then there were bits in it saying, right, so I'm now moving over. I mean, I can't remember the exact wording, but I'm now moving over to the right to account for the bus up there. And of course, with a wide-angle lens, you couldn't even see the bus. You know, it was half a mile away. But it's although it's not technically target fixation, it's one way of dealing with it is the fact that you should be looking half a mile, 2 miles down the road, and people look at you funny when you say look 2-3 miles down a motorway, but actually what you're looking at is going to be with you in under 2 minutes.
Yeah. So
it's something worth thinking about all the time. If you're, as you say, if you're one of these people who looks just beyond the front wheel, when you see something, there's no time left to react. So the only reaction you're going to have, the only thing you're going to have time to do is panic and stare at the thing until you hit it.
Yeah.
So in the end, I think on every one of these safety hangouts, I've come back to the same conclusion. In the end, observation is king.
It is. It absolutely is. And kind of a tenuous link into it as well, because obviously target fixation is observation, but it's observing the wrong thing. So I'm just going to nip to the Q&A. I've got some comments coming in, so let's pick some of those up. We've got Bimbleboy Blue. He says, ignore. Crazy Mook had a crash last year because he fixated on the biker in front who had already crashed on the incoming corner. And I don't know if he crashed or not, but I guess if he did, I guess he crashed into the biker he was looking at. I don't know. So there we go. And Crazy Mook has appeared and says, yes, Bimble. I did. Excellent. I'd be interested to know if you actually hit the thing he was looking at, which was the downed biker, I guess. That'd be interesting. Or his bike. Good stuff. Now, Wyvern Bike put another comment in earlier. It was about signage. Where is it? Has it disappeared now? Okay, so Wyvern did ask about signage. And do you think that may affect target fixation? I guess for me, I would suggest probably yes, because the more things there are that can distract you, the more likely you are to be distracted.
Like moths.
Yeah, like moths. The one behind me. Go away. Ah, right, I think I've got him. Right. He had target fixation on my hand, you see. Flew straight into it. Brilliant stuff. Oh, let's pick up some of the other ones that have been plussed up. Come on, let's try and find. Okay, let's go further up now. Seriously, my biker, has Dave had a hair implant looking like he's got a right good thatch now?
Nah, it's the pills that I take. The ones that I was taking last year actually restrict hair growth, and the ones I'm taking this year promote hair growth.
Oh,
So
blimey, I better get some of that.
it's one or the other. So I've either got lots of hair now, or I don't have any.
Right. If you want more hair, I'd definitely stay on the pills you're on now then, Dave.
Yeah, but these are the ones that make me feel rotten inside, feel sick.
Right,
They
okay.
are
That's good.
quite strong pills, the cyclosporin.
Mm.
They're immune suppressants.
Right, okay. Well, as long as you're on the road to mending, that's the main thing, isn't it? Okay, Bimble Boy Blue come back quickly and says, sorry, Mr. Moog, used for illustrative purposes only. So, I don't know, is there a video on that? If they'll let us know, we'll put a link to it, that'd be interesting. Wife and Bikers had a previous life, apparently. He says, I could tell you a bit about lampposts from a previous life. I hope that's not rude, but excellent. Oh, of course, and Becky's come back and corrected herself, said, oh, yes, and hello, and Dave. Oh, there it is, I've just found it now. What bikers do you think the amount of signage on our roads has had an effect? Yes, I believe it does.
Especially all the advertising, that's ridiculous. You're supposed to have your attention on the road, and what do? They put huge 50-foot advertisement boards everywhere. Of course your eyes are going to look at the advertisement board instead of the road in front of you.
Yeah, I'll tell you something else as well, whilst we're on the subject of signage. What about the electronic signs, the big screens that you get in the big cities now? There's something to glare at, isn't there?
Yep, same thing. Especially at night, they don't think about night when you get a big white advert and it just blinds your eyes for a few seconds. And then as soon as you've gone past it, it's gone all dark again and you can't see for 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah. I'll just quickly pick up 08 Ride's comment. He says, even though tiredness also has a huge impact on your ability to judge your corner, especially if you have been on the bike all day. Target fixation really comes in then when you're slightly misjudged. Yeah, anything that's going to slow your reactions down, being tired is one of them, of course. Again, you're far more susceptible to things like target fixation. So if you are tired, stop, have a rest, and all that good stuff. Or get a sleep if it's been all day. Yeah, good point. Bex88's popped in with, when I first started doing my training, we was doing circuits in a small car park at the school, and I ended up scraping the bars of a 125. I was riding on a wall as I went too wide on the turn.
I think you mean scraping the bars on the wall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like,
well,
there's a video we need to see.
Riding along the wall. But yeah, focus on the closeness of the wall, yeah, which would have drawn you into it like a magnet. Yeah, because you looked at the wall. Target fixation. And also, Hebcat Harley says, I always knew Mr. Calm Biker could speak of lampposts in an interesting manner. Yes, indeed. And also, Storm comes in, who's been using rude words and other offensive language on my channel, and asked me if I'm his favourite. And the answer to that is no. And if you do any more of it, I will ban you permanently. Okay, excellent stuff. Right, so let's now then move on to what we can do about target fixation. Now, actually, yeah, let's do that first, and then I'm going to show you a little video. I don't know how well it will work, but we'll see how it goes. So, whoever wants to go first, what sort of things do you do to snap yourself out of target fixation?
I just use, like I said earlier, I just use that phrase in my head. You can always lean further than you think, and it usually gets me out of the problems, because I don't lean the bike over because it's not a racing bike, but the tyres are good enough to lean over a fair distance, which is a lot more than what I normally do. So when I say that to myself, I give it just that little bit more opposite lock, counter steer, and it gets me out of it. Usually, it's very rare that I hit something that I see nowadays. But then again, I've had 30 years experience, so it's a lot of things that you built up in your muscle memory, for instance, that you get used to, so that when something's coming up, you know you're not tensing up, you know you're not doing all the things that newbies do. And that's not to put them down, it's just that you learn to cope with these things with time. The more time you have on the road, the more you learn and the better it gets. And that phrase usually gets me out of the more difficult situations.
Excellent. Yeah. Richard, anything to add?
Not a huge amount. I mean, it's practice, 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 isn't it? I mean, I think I've probably mentioned it before. One of the things I did on my practice IAM test was coming into a right-hander followed by a left-hander that from a distance looked like it was just a nice gradual S, but actually was 90 degrees either way. And it's just something that Dave was saying, that I went into that bend at about 50 miles an hour, and it was only at the very last second that I realised that that wasn't a 50 mile an hour bend by any means. It was more a 25 miles an hour bend. And I went with the same principle as Dave, that the bike can go further, and what the heck, you're going to crash anyway. So I absolutely leaned on the right hand bar and got round the corner, probably the steepest lean angle I've ever done.
Yeah.
Got round the corner, then round the left hander. And as I was going into the first one, I was looking at the tree that I was about to hit, and it was just that thing of, no, turn my head 90 degrees. I might not even be looking where I'm going now, but I've turned my head so far that way that there's no way I can see the thing I was heading towards. I've broken the fixation at that point. But it's very hard, because it is it's trying to teach yourself not to be human. Yeah. And it is human to, we're designed to move around at a top speed of about 10 miles an hour. And if you run full pelt into a tree, it can really hurt. So, you can do some serious damage.
Into trees, it's not good for you.
So our brains are wired up for the fastest we go is 10 miles an hour, and we see the thing we're about to hit, so we slow down and we desperately try and avoid it at all costs by looking at it and sidestepping. And all these things that you can do when you're running, you can't do on a motorbike. And the closest you can do to them of slamming on the brakes is just going to hurt you more. So it is just practice, practice, practice. And don't ride. I was going to say don't ride outside your limits. That's not really what I think. I think don't ride too far out of your limits. So I would say don't go around riding at 80% of what you can do all the time, because you'll never get any better.
No.
But don't ride at 150% of what you're comfortable with, because you might get a lot deader.
Everyone's. It's difficult to know what your limits are. I think it's whenever you feel comfortable and whenever your heart rate is a little bit faster, you think, ooh, that's when you've gone outside your limits, basically. And so you practice on those moments. But I'll give you a good example of where my target fixation came in. And it's probably not something I was certainly used to. So it took me a little bit longer to sort it out. And I was on the motorway, splitting off onto another motorway, and it went into a two-laner. And I had the outside lane, obviously, on the Hayabusa. And I was going around the outside lane, slowly overtaking cars as I was going around onto the next motorway. And I had a car pull out in front of me, where actually, almost pushed me out. And so, obviously, I reacted, slowed it down, and swerved to avoid him before he knocked me off. And for a second, then, I looked at the barrier in the middle of the motorway. Whoa, don't want to go there. And I was like, oh, what are you doing? Stop doing that, and pulled myself back in just quickly enough to sort of sort it all out. But that sort of target fixation is something that I don't think anyone could ever get used to, because you're all of a sudden forced, something's happened that's forced you out of the situation, like another car driver who's about to basically drive into you, and you try to avoid them. Then you're looking at oh, what am I going to hit? And I did that, and I thought, whoa, and that was like a real bottom clencher moment for me, because I didn't have much time at all to fix the problem. And one tip, and talking about now we're moving on to fixing the problem, Richard's picked up on it a few times, is we talk about pushing on the bars, which always sounds crazy if anyone... I don't want to go into counter steering, I really don't, but essentially, if you push on the bar in the direction that you want to go, you'll find the bike will turn in more quickly towards that direction. So essentially, you know, if you're doing a left-hander and this, like this guy was doing, and he pulled out on me, and I saw the bar and I thought, oh my word, don't fixate. I just naturally, it kind of isn't natural, but you know, experience told me, push on the left bar quickly, get the bike in, and you'll pull it round. Don't brake, don't come off the throttle, any of that stuff, because you will upset the bike and make it stand up anyway, depending on how much, you know, power you've got in terms of deceleration and stuff, but ultimately it will cause a reaction there. So it's a case of carrying on what you're doing, but just push on the left bar in this circumstance, go to the left and keep yourself away from that barrier in the middle of the road. So yeah, pushing on the bar is basically, if you can try it if you've never done it before. I don't want to get into counter steering really, but anyway, you try it if you've never done it before. It happens naturally. You're doing it, you don't realise, but if you want to turn a bit faster into a corner or just experiment with it in a car park, push on the bar, you know, outwards, push on the bar that you in the direction you want to go, and you'll find the bike cut in faster and turn quicker into that corner. Do it gently at first, because I don't want anyone to say, oh, I pushed on the bar and I come off. Just gentle push on it and it'll come around a lot quicker.
If you're worried about it, you can always do it on a push bike, because the same principle applies once you're over about 11 miles an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as it's two wheels. I don't want to talk about three wheels, but yeah, as long as it's two wheels, yeah. Practice on a push bike if you want to sort of do it and work up to it. But this is only to, you know, emergency type stuff, advanced stuff. You don't have to worry about advanced. It's sorting out the target fixation, what this is all about tonight. And if you're in that situation, you've now identified you've got target fixation, push on the bar in the direction you want to go, and you will cut in. And obviously the direction you want to go is the road, not the thing you're fixated on. And therefore you will find the bike move in that direction, and it'll be a whole more comfortable experience. This moth is really annoying me. Right, so what I want to do now, what's the time? Yeah, let's quickly show you a little video. I don't know how well it'll work on sharing the screen, but I hope it works well enough. So I'm just going to pull up a video here and rewind it. Mr. Moth. Okay.
Mr. B meets Mr. Moth.
Indeed. I think what I'll do is I'll play the video and get them off. Right, so I've done this video. Now, what I've done, and it's going to lead on to something that you can try if you've got a helmet camera or any old video footage of you with a helmet camera, is I've got this example video. Now, I will let you know straight away, the only reason I'm using this example is because the person in this video survived. Okay, I wouldn't ever show a video where someone didn't survive. However, it's quite shocking that they did. You might have seen it before, but I've added something to it. What I've added is a crosshair. I've added a crosshair of where I've worked out where his eyesight is going due to the vast amount of footage that was before the actual incident. Okay, and that way you can tell where they're looking. Okay. So it's something great that you can do to any of your footage is put a crosshair on your footage from your helmet camera where you're pretty much certain that's where your gaze is, and then you can see how you're doing in terms of looking where you're going as opposed to looking at pedestrians with a low-cut top or whatever it may be. So yeah, choose your footage wisely. I'm just going to go to, hey, hello, Kev.
You all right, guys?
All right, mate.
Yeah.
Good to have you on, buddy. I'm
Cheers,
just about to show a video, and I don't know if you picked up on what I was saying just as you arrived, but I put a crosshair on it. It's a helmet camera, and I've put the crosshair where I believe the rider is where he's mainly looking. And so what I'll do now is I'll share the video and play it. So there we go. Let's go screen share. There's the footage, and share that. Okay. So I'm not too worried about the sound, whether it works or not. I don't know. Don't worry about that. That's the camera on off. Can you see that footage now?
Yeah.
Hang on, this looks like you.
I don't know how jerky it's going to be on a live stream, but I've kind of gauged the crosshair quite well, I think.
The
And
smaller you make the image, the quicker it runs.
Alright, it's on full screen at the moment. But we'll go with that anyway, you get the rough idea. So as you can see, he's doing quite well at the moment. He's looking where the road's going. Good look round here to the right, big right-hander. All going well. And he's only doing 40, in between 40 and 50 miles an hour, so pretty slow pace really. Everything's going well.
Ooh.
Hey, that left the mark.
Mm-hmm.
Getting smart a bit, isn't it? I've
Yeah,
slowed
it's
it
a
down
bit
now.
polishing out, isn't it?
Yeah, I've slowed it down now. If you look at him, he's looking around the corner, all good, and then he sees the truck, and that's it. It's game over. And you can see on the cross there, he's actually looking at the truck. Well, there we go. So, yeah, I won't publish that video or anything like that, but there's an example there. And what I've done simply is just to put a crosshair where I believe the person is looking, and I gauged that from the footage before the accident.
It's an interesting one, that one, because there was a point where you said, well, I can't remember what you said. Now, he was coming around a left-hander, and you said, oh, he's looking ahead here. I don't know if you can find it. There was like a sweeping left-hander and then a right-hander. And
Yeah.
maybe my brain's just tuned into this now, but I'm looking at a crosshair and thinking that's not far enough ahead. But I don't know if you can bring that bit up, so I can kind of. I can't actually point, but I'm sure you can. Point
Yeah,
that
I
out
can
and
share it. The thing is, it was difficult to gauge height because at some points he was looking at the sky and at some points he was looking at the ground. But you can see there, the thing is, of course, your eyes can obviously move up and down. Now, this won't work if you ride by using your eyes only. You have to move your head and the whole shebang.
I mean, that bit there is kind of looks all right for where he's looking. At that point, if that crosshair was correct, I would be looking further left than that. But if you just stop, if you stop there, you can see where this road goes round. Now I can't show you a pointer, but can you move your pointer over?
It goes round there, obviously. Yeah.
So if you just keep moving right.
What, my pointer?
Yeah, you point it right.
Yeah.
Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Right to the edge of the mountain.
I've been looking at the edge of that mountain there.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah, I think what he's doing at this point, and you can't hear it on the audio, but the reason why he's not fully concentrating is that he actually goes to shut his visor, I think. I think this is the point. Hang on.
Right.
Oh no, it's before because I'm not seeing his hand move now. But yeah, so not ideal, let's say.
Right, that was the point I was thinking of. You can actually see the white bit of road where it starts to turn left.
Yeah.
That's where I'd be looking at that point.
Yeah, I mean this corner's done and dusted. I'd be looking over here now.
Yeah. The only thing that's going to bring your attention back is, and it would be quite a long way off. There's the bit where you can't see the road surface because of the grasses. The only thing that I can see would put you off looking at that corner now is spotting gravel as you came around that bend.
Sure, but I think the key thing about this is, I won't continue to share that because you can do this with your own footage if you want, but is that obviously in terms of avoiding target fixation, it's all about the head, and it's not. You need to move your head to the direction you want to go. Just using your eyes isn't going to work too well at all for you. The reason why we've got eyes is that we can quickly move our eyes around and scan gravel, whatever, rabbits, deer, whatever, pedestrians. But in terms of physically where you want to go, you want to be moving your whole head in the direction you want to go, and you can use your eyes to scan around for those other little incidentals, if you like. But yeah, obviously at the end there, it was quite clear that using the crosshair, you could see that all he was looking at was the lorry or truck, it's in America. And that's where he went. And he was only doing 43 miles an hour into that corner. And due to him tensing up as well, I noticed that he actually accelerated slightly before he hit the lorry. So, and the reason why it all went sideways, by the way, is he panic brakes on the rear brake, and that's what kicked the back end out. and sent him kangarooing towards the
You can see
line.
but you can see the bike sort of snake like that.
Yeah.
As if he loses the back end and then it catches again.
Yeah. So
I quite like, just to show you a quick image.
yeah.
I quite like looking at. No, I put that wrong. I quite like the idea of getting people to look at things like this, because that's Cal, Crutchlow.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the thing of, he's not looking where the bike is going. You know, he's going around a corner. He's looking where the bike is where he wants the bike to be headed.
Yeah.
But not where he's going, and that's, in a lot of the cases, I think the mistake people make is that they don't, as you said, they don't turn the head. Once you turn your head, you know, everything else is periphery, isn't it? And you're heading that direction. Unless when you get around the corner, there's that wayward baby in the middle of the road again.
Hopefully not on a racetrack.
Yeah, that's right. You're not going to be changing direction, are you?
No. Yeah. So, you know, what do you think about all of that? I mean, the idea of putting a crosshair on. I mean, you could use it as a game and see how well you look where you want to go, as opposed to target fixation, and put it on some footage, or go out there deliberately to ride, looking, you know, as far up the road as you can to ensure that you go where you want to go.
That's a very good idea, because it will help people. Obviously, there's the small minority, which is me, will have a trouble with that, because it'll just look like I'm always looking forward. But the principle behind it is very, very good. I like the idea of that, because it'll get them used to the fact of turning their head.
Yeah.
Be able to see it. I like that idea.
I think it's when you're watching a video of yourself riding as well, especially if you're doing twisties, it's looking where the bike is. On your video, you can actually look back and say, "Am I turning my head?" Because if you're turning your head properly, the bike will be all over the bottom of the picture. You know, it'll be flying off either way, depending on which way you're turning.
Yeah. It's a difficult. I don't know how well it would work. For me, I don't. It might well work great, but I don't know if I look with my head, like you're saying, Andy. I don't know if I look with my head or just with my eyes.
You'll find.
I know. I think I do move my head quite a lot, because I do find, like, if I can't see properly, you know, I'll be doing this kind of thing, and so maybe it would.
Yeah, you will find that you will move your head a lot more than you think. It's only when you lose the ability to move your neck and move your head properly that you realise how much you lose.
Yeah.
You are actually looking a lot with moving your head around.
And to be fair, you lose a lot of your peripheral vision as well, don't you, in a helmet?
I have to compensate an awful lot when I go on ride outs, when they're going a little bit quicker and stuff like that.
I think
when you're watching them videos back, though, if the bike isn't moving around a lot at the bottom of the picture, maybe the answer is to go out and again, back to the target fixation and how to deal with it, to recognise that it's not moving about enough and make yourself move your head more. Yeah. So you completely exaggerate. And I did this myself, but when you start completely exaggerating that movement, you actually find you're going around corners quicker, but without realising you're going quicker. Because it's just the natural thing to do. It feels so much better.
Yeah, moving your head deliberately. Go out deliberately to do like a crosshair test, if you like, and deliberately move your head in the direction you want to go. You'll find cornering a lot easier. But what I will also say is, well, you're probably quite surprised, Kev, that if you pick up some of your old footage of you riding with your helmet cam, you put a crosshair on that footage, and you'll probably smile and think, "Oh yeah, I am looking where I should be going."
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, but it certainly helps your cornering if you actually physically turn your head to where you want to go. Absolutely. And that's what you know, GP riders do. Otherwise they wouldn't go anywhere near as quick, because they need to be able to. It's like it almost turns your steering. And you know, if you haven't been distracted and you move your head, and I've been distracted, obviously, right along the road, and you might look like that and you go, whoa. Let's get that bike straight in a straight line again, you know, and that's just how it works, because your head really does kind of guide you. So there we go. So that was the crosshair thing. So if anyone's got a helmet cam and they want to try that out, or even on old footage, just see how much you are looking at down the road. And I can't say that it would make you a worse rider if you were to actually go out there physically just to test the head look cornering. And I think you'll be quite pleasantly surprised how much it improves the way you go around corners.
What might be a good idea is if one of you could do 2 videos along the same road. One, keeping your head absolutely still, and the other one, riding how you should really move. And you'll be surprised of how much more scenery you see as well. So you're taking in more information when you're doing that, and it'll give you a good comparison compared to box standard to actually moving.
Yeah, I'd probably put me out of my comfort zone if I couldn't move
Yeah.
my head, but I'd have to try and find a safe road to do it on.
Oh yes. I wouldn't ask anybody to put themselves in danger. I could do the. I mean, if we were all on a ride out, it'd be easy because all you do is you take my footage and you take somebody in front of me, and you would see the difference.
Yeah.
Because we're both riding on the same road, and we're both riding in our ways. But it would be possible for a comparison video, I suppose.
Yeah, indeed. Right, let's quickly attack the Q&A. There's quite a few in here. Light It Up 550 says, hey guys, hi buddy. Obviously, Bimble Boy Blues come back with Mook has a vid of the incident. I'm such a grass. Winky smiley face. Yeah, he sent me the link in good old Skype as well. So what I'll do is I'll put that link in the one of the comments below as well, so that people can go and have a look at that. So cheers for the link, buddy. Big Kev says, good morning chaps, on my way to work, I will watch later. Ride safe mate, ride invisible. Excellent, cheers buddy, good advice. Ride says, if you were looking at the point of the mountain road at the time, would you go over the cliff? I suggest by the time you get to the corner you want to look where it goes from there as opposed to the edge of the cliff. Would be a good thing.
Khan would tell you you don't look at one point and stick to it all the time. What you're always doing is you're doing that kind of thing where you distance, middle, distance, close, distance, middle, distance, close, all the time.
Yeah. It would be the weirdest accident ever, wouldn't it, to go off the inside of a bend?
Yeah. Whoops, I overdid that one a bit.
Like target fixate on something far over on the inside, I don't know.
Having said that, you often see new riders having 2 bites of the cherry because they lean in and then have to bring the ride back up again because they went in too soon and then have to lean again.
Yeah, indeed.
Still do that. Don't we all do that? Oh, heck.
Well, you've only been riding a couple of years. You got 28 more to go yet.
Oh, I hope so.
Alright, I'll just quickly go to Hepcat Harley in the Q&A as well. He says, do you think Highways Agency, County Highways, should take more care to provide correct information, either by road information or signage, relevant to the legal speed limits on the road? I think one of the things they need to do is make sure they're maintained.
Oh, definitely. One of the scariest moments I had was going around a corner at about 45 miles an hour, and it suddenly went from nice, beautiful tarmac to cut up, grooved stuff where they'd removed the tarmac without any signage at all. And you know how you suddenly hit that stuff and it sort of takes your wheel away. I had to very quickly just say to myself, go with the flow. You know, because if you tense up on those things, it'll take you wherever it wants to go. You just go with the flow. You have to remember the bike wants to go straight. So if you're leaning around a corner, go with the flow. You just keep that amount of pressure on the bars. So you keep that going around no matter what the wheels are doing. It will go around and you should be fine. But yeah, that was one of the scariest moments I had. It just changed from beautiful tarmac to really, really bad road without any signage at all.
Yeah.
I just a little one. I mean, Kev already knows about this because I talked about it. I don't know if I mentioned it to you at the pub or not, Andy. But on the Welsh ride out, there was one bit. It was when we were coming back, just before we got to that parking area where we took the photographs, and there was a left-hander. And as you went into the left-hander, you could see, and for people watching these, we're talking roads here that are just about wide enough to get a Mini down, and not much. And I mean the old Mini, the Mini that was Mini.
Actual mini.
About 3 sheet wide, about 3 sheet.
Really, really narrow. And as we were going in the left-hander, I was on the left-hand side because there was bits of crap in the middle of the road. But as we went into the left-hander, you suddenly saw there was about 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick gravel in the middle. And I looked at it for a split second, touched it with the front wheel, and the bike did a 2-wheel drift through all the gravel onto the other side of the road. Yeah. I didn't have chance to react before I went in. It was just gravel, and that was it. I was in it. And I think the only thing that stopped me hitting, because on the right-hand side it was a mountain, so it was just like a cliff that I would have gone into. The only thing that stopped me was doing that, look that way, and just look, even though the gravel's there and both wheels have lost traction, looking the other way just meant that I felt the thing slide softly through it. It's like riding on a mattress or something. And then it got its grip back at the other side, and I carried on through. I think if I'd have done that, a couple of months after passing my test, I'd have been picking my teeth out of a hillside. Yeah. Because it would have been, because it was one of them, everything's against you. You're 5 feet away from the rocks when you're on the left-hand side of the road. There's gravel, there's rocks, and it's that panic reaction again, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's that short notice period, isn't it, that you get with stuff like that as well. And I suffered the same thing. I think I also mentioned it. But I came over a brow of a hill and hit some gravel. And it can be anything. We talked about signs and other things, but even gravel in the middle of the road, it could be horse shit, it could be anything. If you look at it, you think, oh no! That, again, target fixation. You just have to trust. And if you're doing more than 20 miles an hour, you're going to have that centrifugal force from the 2 wheels that's going to keep you upright anyway. You just need to focus on, the bike's going to get squirmy underneath you, but it will find its footing and you will go around as long as you look where you need to go. That's the main thing.
I did see a video.
A line of diesel around your line where you want to go on a corner. You have to really quickly decide which side of that line you want to go, and either lean more or bring it upright a little bit. And if you bring it upright a little bit and cross it, you may get some diesel on it, but don't panic, don't worry. It's riding in the diesel that's dangerous, not crossing it.
Yeah. Go on, sorry, Richard.
I was just going to say, I did see a video that was quite interesting of a guy going around a roundabout in the middle of his lane, and there was a sign, like a roadworks sign or something, the flat, big triangle, that had obviously come off its mounting and was just laid in the road. But it was actually on the line between the 2 lanes. So if he'd have just carried on the line he was on, he would have missed it. But he saw it, stared at it, and went across it. And as his front wheel hit it, that was it. Just slid out from underneath him because the metal on the road just wanted to slide because he was leaned over, and it just took him straight off his bike.
Yeah.
But it's those little things, isn't it, that can catch you out very quickly.
Yeah. I'm always very tentative on roundabouts, which is where you normally find your big diesel patches anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've got to be careful.
If you stay tight. Yeah. If you stay really tight, you've got your best bet, haven't you, on a roundabout?
Yeah, because you've got a straighter line.
Well, actually, if you're going across a roundabout, I tend to straight line them anyway. But what I mean is, if you're turning right, it's better to go tight into the middle of the roundabout, because the diesel, when it's most of the diesel that's there is either dripped out of the middle of cars, but the big patches of diesel are where trucks are overfilled and it all just sprays out as they go around.
Yeah.
And it doesn't spray out into the centre of the roundabout; it sprays out towards the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not target fixation, no. Sorry. Off topic.
Oh no, but you will see the diesel and you will fixate on it, and it does happen. You tense up and all sorts of things, but. The key thing is identifying that you've got that target fixation, and then making sure, from experience, and hopefully this has helped in some way, that you'll identify it quicker and then know what to do about it. And that's not to tense up and continue looking at the thing. It's to look where you want to go and relax and push on the bar in the direction you want to go, and that will help you get around quicker.
When you do target fixate, though, to actually pull yourself out of it is one of the hardest things to do. To actually, to think, right, I've got to look away, and to actually rip yourself away, because it's human nature, isn't it? If something's coming towards you at a rate or not, you want to see what's coming towards you. So to look away and basically ignore it as your brain thinks, it's so difficult to do.
You've got to practice
yourself.
You've got to practice it. You've got to go out there and set yourself up, I think, to go around a corner much slower than you know is possible, and look at the outside, and then practice turning away. It's just drilling, isn't it? It's like army or anything else with training, that you've got to train yourself to do something unnatural without thinking about it.
Yeah, and you can totally practice target fixation. You really can, and that's why I suggested with the crosshair thing is, go out for a ride, try not to think about it too much, and you could always use archive footage, and then retrace it, knowing that you want to do this target fixation practice, knowing that you're going to put a crosshair on your video footage, and then compare the two. And if you go out there physically to go, I'm looking down the corner, that's where I want to go, I want to go that way now, down that way, and so on, you will see a difference, not only in the footage and the fact that the crosshair will stay in the right place as if that's where you want to go, but also you'll enjoy it more because you'll go around the corners so much more. I can't say relaxed, but it will just feel so much better to go around a corner when you're looking where you want to go with your head, as opposed to, your usual whatever it is you do.
You'll feel more in control with your vehicle.
Yeah, and so you can totally practice target fixation, if there is ever such a thing. But you could go out there and do it with the deliberate thought in your head that I'm going to make sure that crosshair stays right where it should be. Just by, I think you'll probably find yourself having an enjoyable ride. Okay, let's a couple more in the Q&A. I did see one from Sticky Throttle, slightly off topic, but I'll quickly answer. Mr. Braindam, Mr. B, why the Bussa? Because it's comfortable, great for touring, very fast, very powerful, and that's pretty much it, really. And it's not about speed, it's about the power. Okay, so thanks for that question. And he also says, Brain Dump. Yeah, that's the channel. Excellent. Hepcat Harley says, if you were coming up to a double sharp bend in the 60 limit, would you want to know about the severity by signage or rely on your own limit point analysis? Well, I'll let anyone else want to answer that one first.
Well, if Khan will probably tell you what you're supposed to do is ride to where you can see. So if you're coming up to, you're on a 60 limit and you can't see around that first bend, then you should slow down to the point where you can stop in time if there's a problem. And it's drive within the limits that's safe for the road at the time.
Anyone else?
I mean, just to quickly, anybody can put a sign up there. Anybody can knock a sign down. So they can put as many signs up as they like, and if they've been knocked down, they're not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So you shouldn't rely on signs.
Don't know if this harks back to what I was saying earlier about my 50 mile an hour through an S-bend that really should have been half that speed, but I both. I wouldn't rely on the signs, but I would like to know that they were there. You have to rely on what you can see. Clearly, if you're relying on signs, as you say, it only takes a sign to be fallen over, hidden by trees, hidden by snow, whatever it might be. And yes, as Dave said, you should be able to see enough space that you can stop in the space you can see. There's an argument you should be able to stop in half that, because the person coming the other way around the corner on the wrong side of the road is going to stop as well. But in reality, who does that? Probably not many people. Especially on a bike, 'cause it's actually quite hard to stop a bike quickly in a sharp bend. It's a bit hairy, isn't it? But yes, it's got to be your own analysis of not just the limit point, because the limit point is a useful tool for slowing down and speeding up as you see it coming towards you and going away from you. But it's everything else as well. If you can see, telegraph poles, if you can see trees that are beyond that limit point, they all give you clues about where that corner's going. So there's more to it than that. But it is nice, that bend that I was going around really looked like it was a nice, easy bend, just because of the nature of the road. It would have been nice to have a sign before that one.
Yeah.
I mean, just to go slightly on a tangent, picking up on what you were just saying.
I almost did that on that corner.
The information you get from things in the road as well. I mean, I'm sure this will be covered on another topic, but things like you look at the trees, you can see what the weather conditions are like further down the road. If it's blowing a gale down there but not where you are, you can see the trees moving a hell of a lot more, and you're going to come up to a patch of wind, so you might need to alter how you ride when you're getting up there as well. So there's a lot to learn by looking at other things on the road as well.
Yeah.
There's definitely a safety hangout on information and observation, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because when you first start riding or driving, there are things that you're just not looking for. You're so busy looking at the road ahead and probably not planning as much as you should. And then once you're a bit more experienced, you're looking at things that beginners would not even realise were there. So a good example is Dave's video of the car behind the van. If you haven't seen that, I'm sure Dave will point you in the right direction at some point. But he put out a video saying, "Did you see it?" kind of thing. And it was the kind of thing, I mean, not from my riding, but from driving for so long, it was the kind of thing, there's going to be a car there. But you do see lots of people who just drive past that kind of situation, and you think, well, it's quite lucky that you didn't have a crash then, and you probably don't even realise.
Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. And I would say, for me, on the signage thing, it's a nice extra piece of information, but I can't say I discount it, but it's information. But obviously, and riding invisible, if it's a blind corner and you might have indications of telegraph poles or other things that might indicate where the road goes next, of course, what it won't tell you is that there's a broken down tractor or any of those other things. And trust me, in my younger years, I used to, I really did hoon a lot. And if anyone's been able to ride out with me, I do still hoon. But it's got to be to the conditions and totally riding invisible. And I need to know that if I come around a corner and there's something that's not going to be expected, that I can do something about it still and have that in the back of my mind. And so for me, signage is nice to be there, but if it says caution 50-mile-an-hour corner, what about caution, there's a broken down tractor and you still need to be able to stop. And you won't see signs like that anywhere.
As you say, it's extra information.
Yeah.
And it's you just, I mean, it's you see some videos, and this is something that I've had a laugh with Kev about on some videos that we watch. You see some people and they absolutely tear into a situation, and then they explode with rage when something goes wrong. And you think all of the clues were there.
Yeah. And sometimes it wasn't just clues. Sometimes it's blaringly obvious. Not it's not just a subtle clue or a subtle hint. It's like, what the hell are you doing type thing. It's ridiculous. As long as I think signage I think like you were saying, Andy, it's a nice to have. And I certainly wouldn't discount it. But as long as you ride well within your abilities and you've got a little bit there in reserve just in case anything happens, like you say, a tractor around the bend or something, then you should be good. Obviously, you can't account for every single eventuality, but as long as you've got a little bit of skill in reserve, then you should be fine. If you're riding on the red line, and I don't mean the red line as in the red limit, I mean the level of your skill all the time, then you're just it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, you need that bit of reserve, and that's a very good analogy, Kev. and I always make sure there's a bit of reserve. I mean, I can totally get on a track, where you can see everything and know what's going on. Yeah, you can go a lot faster, but on the I sound like an old git now, because I used to have people say to me, "The road isn't a racetrack." You go, "Yeah, whatever," But now, older, wiser Mr. I'm the person saying it's not a racetrack because you don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
And I should have listened sooner, But luckily, I've been lucky and I've learned, and we're doing these hangouts now to try and pass it on, because it totally happens. Like that video that I just showed, the guy riding into a truck. You never know what's going to be around the corner, and so you have to have that bit of reserve. And I like that bit of reserve. Very good.
I'll put a link in the chat in the questions, so that later after the hangout, if anybody wants to have a look at the questions, I'll see the video that Khan was on about.
I might have given away the ending. Sorry.
No, it doesn't matter, because it helps people to notice things afterwards.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people watched it and didn't see it until it happened.
It would definitely be a good one, I think, to do an observation one about these kind of things. It's the levels, isn't it? You're starting with, I can see what's in front of me, and then you're moving on to I can see what's around me and behind me. But your aim should be to get to the point of, there's a lot of bins out, so is there a bin lorry around the corner? It's that level of observation that a lot of people never get to.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I started driving a car, actually. I'd started riding a bike before a car, but first time I started driving a car on a car park, my observation was inside the car, looking at the gear shift, looking at the steering wheel, the indicators, looking at the speedo, things like that. And over time, it got out of the front window screen, and you learn not to look at what's closest to you, but to look at what's furthest away and bring it back towards you all the time. So you scan far and come back, rather than the other way, because like I say, if you do it the other way, if you scan what's right in front of you, that's changing all the time. Whereas if you're looking far first, what's up there is going to come to you.
Yeah.
So it gives you longer to process that information.
And you can plan what you're going to do well ahead of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should do a safety one on observation. I mean, it's massive. I mean, I already mentioned before about just trying to edit a short piece of footage to try and say and indicate what my brain's doing and what I'm thinking. And like I say, I kind of gave up because it's just crazy. But yeah, I think we could definitely touch on it and try and cover it as best we can. And maybe I'll set Richard some homework if he wants to set up some of those things, like the bins and so on and so forth, and all those other things. Like, there's grass cuttings on the road that look really fresh. Is there a tractor going around cutting hedges at the moment? There's so many things. But yeah, I think a bit of homework for that one, and then when we kind of come up with a lot of scenarios that you can think about, then I think we should do that.
One of the things you should always be saying to yourself when you're driving, no matter where you are, in town, in the countryside, is asking yourself questions. Why is there a gap there? Why is that car not filling that gap? Always ask these questions, because there's usually a reason for it.
Yeah, I touch on that a lot on filtering. If there's a gap, there's probably a reason, and it's time to be cautious. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely do one. But like I say, a lot of homework, because it's vast. That observation is just so many scenarios. It's probably almost infinite.
I mean, you could probably split it up and do observation in the countryside, observation in the town, because the two are fundamentally different.
Yeah.
You're going much slower in the town generally, but you're having to process a vast amount of information.
Yeah, good idea. Definitely split it up. I think free-flowing out in the countryside observation versus in town and traffic.
Yeah, I like that, because he's right. You are going slower in town, but you're having to process a lot more information, whereas in the countryside, you're going faster, but what does happen is things that come at you quicker because you're going faster. So you have to process that information quicker, even though there's less of it.
It's a good thing as well that if you're ever at that point where you're not able to process everything quickly enough, slow down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you're doing 30 in a 30, slow down.
Yeah, that's the golden rule, isn't it? In terms of observation, if you can't process it all, you're going too fast. Yeah, so we'll definitely make sure we include that. Make a note. But we shouldn't have to, because that's just there, it's just remembering to, a lot of this stuff is subconscious for me, and it's great. That's why I like people on the panel to sort of remind me that, yeah, we do that, but you actually have to say it.
That's what I found in that video. Making it conscious is really hard, because you're thinking, oh, I just reacted to that, and then you're saying on the video, oh, that's why I went to the right there because of that. I'm too busy staring and controlling the bike to start talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I did mine for Tib if he remembers.
Yeah, I do,
You're doing your vocal observation. When you're doing it, I was actually looking further in front than I would normally look, just so I had time to process it and verbalize it, and there's still only getting in a third of what I was actually looking at, because I'm riding in town. There's so much to look out for. I mean, the amount of pedestrians for the start off, any one of them can suddenly turn their head into the road, and that's a quick visualization of that's where they're going to go. They turn their head into the road, you're virtually guaranteed they're going to cross the road at that point. Even though they're not looking at you, they've just turned their head right across the road, you're virtually guaranteed they're going to cross. But anybody new that's watching this to riding, thinking about riding, just started or whatever, don't ever be frightened to ask us questions. We have a good mix here. We have young riders that have only just started, older riders that have only just started, old riders like me and Mr. B that have been riding for years that have forgotten more than what we remember.
But you can get tablets for that nowadays.
Yeah. So don't forget, don't be shy to ask, because no question is a stupid question. As long as it's about bikes. Yeah, just ask.
Sorry, I just sprang to mind. There are no stupid questions, only stupid people.
Absolutely right. Okay, I'm conscious we've kind of gone over the normal hour, so and I want people to be able to feel the urge to actually watch this without going, what? How many hours? So I'm just going to go back to the Q&A. Obviously, Who Am I UK number 1 has put up the link to his video, and also in the comments down below, so you want to check that one out. And also, Jason Carter says the safest way to demonstrate target fixation would be in a tank using safety cameras as the target. I think that would be a great video. Yeah, if anyone's got a tank that we could borrow, I would love to drive it right from the get-go. And if it has live ammo, all the better. But yeah, absolutely. So I think at that point then, we'll wrap it up on this one. And I'll just leave it open to the panel if anyone wants to say anything else or talk about anything else regarding target fixation, and then we'll wrap it up, and then we'll see you on the next one for the next safety hangout. Anyone want to go first? Kev, do you want to add anything else?
No, I've got nothing to add. I think everything's pretty much been covered. There's nothing I can add that'll change or add anything of note. So.
Okay, cheers, Kev. Richard?
Nope. I think we've covered most stuff, haven't we?
Yep, it's been very useful. And Dave?
Yeah, ask questions. Mr. B is more than happy to answer questions. If he doesn't know the answer, he knows plenty of people that will help you out. So don't be frightened to ask. Just ask us whatever you want.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd add to that is I don't know everything. That's why I do this. That's why I want people along with me, because I don't know everything. I only got my experience, and everyone has different experiences. So please, please, please do ask questions. Any question is good, and we can talk about it. No matter how stupid you might think it might be, there's so much knowledge up here that I want to give out and experience, and the same for the rest of the panel, and that's why we're here. So please do ask. Bex88 then, just to wrap us up, says, night all, great safety hangout, kiss. Oh, I like a boss. Excellent. Cheers, Bex.
My boss is a man.
Okay. Does he? Oh no, it's not going. No. Right.
Does he kiss like a boss? Well,
No, I didn't know. Not that I'm interested. Also, Bimble Boy Blues says, yeah, cheers, Kev. Sorry, Dave. Plenty out.
It's like talking to him mum.
Today, I know. It's good.
Goes through the entire family before she gets my name right.
Exactly, yeah. Cousin once removed. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, thanks for the offer, Richard, but no, I'm alright, thank you. Bimble Boy Blue says, thank you, gents, night everyone. Jason Carter says, tank comes with its own crosshair, LOL, night. Cheers, Jason. Excellent. So yeah, I just want to quickly say thanks, Kev, Richard, Dave, for joining us on this Safety Hangout. It's been really great, really enjoyed it, and I hope it's been useful in some part to anyone watching this video. Thanks again. See you again, quite possibly next week with another topic to be decided. I think the observation one will take more than a week to get together. But yes, we'll probably do another one next Sunday. So thanks for watching, and don't forget, ride safe, ride invisible. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.